Well, I think Muslims have been playing defense for too long. And I mentioned this recently in a conference. Since 9/11, Muslims have been playing defense. We've been stuck in a 2-3 zone since September 11th, 2001. And it's time for us to show people what we can give back to society instead of just constantly whining and being on the defense. So I'll give a good example, like the respect that Islam gives to parents. It's just incredible, you know. And when I became Muslim, when I was 20, you know, I had a lot of problems with my parents, like big time issues, to the point where I was like, you know what, screw this relationship, I'm out, you know. And I sat with a scholar for 10 years who I lived with, memorized the Quran with in Arabic. And because of what he taught me, you know, I went back to my parents. And I took the blunt of the burden of the relationship. And ultimately that relationship was, you know, fixed. So Islam gave my parents their son back. So that's one thing I think a lot of people become Muslim, I've noticed, because we came out of Steve Urkel, everybody hates Chris, you know, different strokes era or whatever, and we tend to have problems with our parents. So that's just one aspect. Secondly, if we see the texting crisis, right? The sexting crisis in New York, Islam, you know, definitely encourages us to man up and be married and be people of fidelity. There's no try it before you buy it in Islam. You know, you have to marry someone, you're committed to that marriage. That's something that Islam gives society. The importance of raising our children right and giving our children good morals and ethics and being examples for them is something that Islam gives. The concern for the poor, you know. In the Quran, it talks about the person who doesn't believe, and it says that they deny the basic acts of kindness to people. Social justice issues, you know, in the Quran it says even if you have to stand up against yourself, speak out for justice. So Islam brings a total package to help people. And what's interesting is that most of the Arabs, or a lot of the Arabs, didn't become Muslim in Arabia just because of theology. They became Muslim because the Prophet was able to benefit them socially. And I think we forget that as a community. Even the environment, you have the statement of the Prophet that talks about the person of knowledge, even the fish in the seas will pray for them. So scholars said because the person of knowledge will know how to treat the environment properly. I mean, this was over 800 years ago they said this, right? So what does Islam bring to the environmental cause that we see around us? Classical scholars said even during times of war, it's not allowed to poison water. You know, the wells of the people or the rivers, it's not allowed to pollute the environment, you know, with pollutants that they had then, right? There was this long discussion about that. Out of respect, not only for human beings, right? Mass killing is unacceptable, but also the harm that it would reap on the earth, which is given as a trust to us, man. So you can just go on and on and on and on. I mean, what Islam brings to the arts, Eric Clapton plays the Andalusian, the Spanish style of guitar, right? The arts that Islam gave to, I mean, just keep going. I mean, it's a bug out, right? So rap music, I mean, look at Arab poems, you know, Mustaf'ilun, 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 like this rhyme that you find in their poems. A lot of things that Islam gave to the West and gave to society and can still give and also receive, right? Because in order to give, you got to receive as well.